AIRO. AIRO is about to IPO. I actually just made a video about them, but I had to do another one as I looked more into them. This actually looks like a really interesting investment, and the more I look at it, the more I like it actually. Their website is absolutely horrible. They do a horrible job at explaining what they do, and I'm not going to go over all of that. You can check out their site. Their images are all looking fake, and it's really unclear what they do. But this is it. They are in these four different business segments: avionics, electronics, which is pretty much GPS and communication systems, but a little bit more actually. This part of the business makes some money. Let's actually open up their S1. Where was that? When we opened up Robinhood. So just to briefly mention, okay, here's their S1. So what they're doing is they're raising $5 million in shares and a $14 to $16 valuation. They're gonna get about 70 to 80 million. I learned that they're actually raising or looking to get from this 100 million. There we go. They're looking to finance and raise at least 100 million for this investment. And currently, it's sitting at $10. At 5 million shares, $10, that's 50 million. If they're looking to raise 100 million, then they're already half that. And that means to get to their goal, if they want to succeed, if we're able to lock in a price at 10 bucks, or maybe even a little more, because actually Robinhood give an estimate now of like 10 to 12 bucks. So it depends, exactly what happens. And you might not even lock in all your shares. If you're buying 100 shares, you might just get like 20 or 30, whatever. But whatever it is, if you lock in at 10 or 12 bucks, at 20 bucks is pretty much where they're looking to get their money, right? To get this 100 million. Interesting. So you might be looking at a potential doubling just there if, they succeed. Another thing I like is they actually make money. This isn't some company that's hoping to make money like a lot of the eVTOL companies. Although they're in the eVTOL space, the eVTOL part of this company is not at all making any money. These three sectors are. So we did talk about that in the last video. If I jump into it here, let's see which one is the one making the most money. There is this little chart. You went all the way down from that 100 million, so it's somewhere up here. Okay. 75 million from drones from Skywatch, 9 million and 4 million from these other two. These other two are quite interesting as well. And then they have here the eVTOL, which makes no money, probably only spends money. AIRO isn't really one company, they're a consolidation company. They're actually, let's open up here, they actually had a SPAC. That's what they were doing in 2022 to 2023. They tried, they basically became an IPO kind of through a SPAC. It looks like they announced a merger with Kernel Group Holdings. Eventually they rebranded just to AIRO, but they acquired 6 companies. I'll go over which one those are in a minute. And they're supposed to actually IPO earlier this year in April 17th, about more than a month ago. But due to all the tariffs, they didn't, and the IPO delayed. So we're just going to skip over that kind of, and you can do your own research on what that's about. But it's about to IPO this Friday, so hopefully this goes well for them. Anyway, so the 6 companies, let's jump into here. All right. Jaunt Air Mobility. Jaunt Air Mobility is the eVTOL one that's making no money. Notably, why they're different is the slow rotor compound, which I guess helps with noise. Honestly, this alone we're going to kind of forget about, but I did want to just compare that, Hover is an eVTOL that makes no money also, although they actually have, cash and stuff. Their, the cash is 10 million. Whereas AIRO's is, let's look at their balance sheet real quick. Talked about it there. It was in the S1, but all right, they're 2024, right? 75 million, 9 million, and 4 million. So total, they actually made 86 million. Even though they had a net loss, it looks like they spent, about 100 something, 20 million, but they do have actual revenue. They're not a company like Hover that has literally no revenue and just has to raise money all the time. And so where are they making revenue from? from Skywatch, the drones. These drones, let's go in their Instagram, or no, their Twitter here. These drones, they actually work with the military, with the DoD, and with NATO, from my understanding. So these are not, some random little startups they're working with. They're working with government contracts, which is pretty good and reliable. Governments usually don't change companies that easily. And what's special about their drones is that their drones don't have no GPS. So, you just kind of fly the drone, you have surveillance, and there's no GPS. An enemy can't really track it, and ideally can't take it down. AI enabled, okay, that's pretty good. It's a nice, innovative drone. The government's using it, 75 million they make. So if the company is valued at only 50 million and this sector here alone grows, that's a pretty good sign that the company could grow. But then we have three other sectors, and what's interesting with the eVTOL here is, even though this makes no money, just for the hype right now, and even the drones, it's interesting that right now, on Friday, January 13th, this is going to IPO, and it's interesting that it went down in price when it was at 14 to 16. It really should have done a reversal, because it looks like here, I actually learned a little more about this now. So Trump just, 2 days ago on Monday, signed an executive order called Unleashing American Drone Dominance. And it seems like that's why Joby, Archer, even Rocket Lab, and HOVR have been really going up a lot since Monday. And if AIRO was in the already IPO'd, it probably would have went up as well in the past 2 days. So it's interesting that it actually went down from, its initial IPO price of the 14, 16 that they're looking for. And it seems pretty bullish for AIRO for just this news alone, that it might go up, just on Friday because of that news. But on top of that, their balance sheet, while it doesn't look healthy, they're actually losing money, and it hasn't been growing from 2024 to 2025. It actually has not grown. It's actually declined, which is not a good sign. But even still, it would come at a very low PE ratio at a 0.5 PE or something. So if it does come in at $50 million valuation with $90 million revenue, it'll be like a 0.6 something PE. So this is actually a really good forward-looking company if you even hold your share. If it does dip, if you do lose your money on IPO day, do what you want to do, but you can buy more and double down and bring your cost average down. And I don't know if this stock is really gonna go. It doesn't seem like it's gonna go anywhere to zero. They're working with the military. That is the one thing that ChatGPT said to be wary of, which are the risks, that they only have two customers. Or was it? I don't know where it was. But the major risk, it said, was that they only have two clients, and if any one of them stop working with them, that's a major revenue loss for them. However, just from two clients, the fact that they're valued at 50 million is quite impressive, and they can grow a lot more if they get more clients. I don't know too much about these other companies, what they do. I know they actually train the military, which is quite interesting. I don't know how much money that could make. It seems like it's not making too much right now, and I don't know how much growth there is there. Also in navigation and communication and all this stuff, especially with a bunch of other AI companies. I'm not sure how long-lasting avionics can be with this Aspen Avionics company. You know what? Let's briefly check them out. Aspen Avionics. I'm a little interested there, more than the training stuff. Whew, another horrible website. They really like these shitty websites. Okay. Super old Twitter logo. Yeah, this website hasn't been done in years. But I guess it's a good sign. This is a company that's been long around, just like AIRO. They're actually from 2005, so it's a good sign, and they have a really good team behind them as well. They seem to have a good team. Another thing I did mention is that I'm not too familiar what allotment is. I should probably check it out, but I saw that other than the 5 million shares, there's like 750,000 shares in allotment. So the 50 million valuation, I don't know, maybe that's why it's maybe $12. it might be like more like 60 million or something because of those extra shares. Oh, right here. We have granted the underwriters an option to purchase 750K in additional shares of our common stock at the public offering, less underwriting discounts and commissions for a 30-day period from the date of the prospectus to cover all allotments. Okay, I'm not too sure what that actually might mean, but it seems like maybe people or other investors could buy more shares if, if they seem like they want to. I'm not too sure. But one thing I did learn, I don't know where I saw this, that insiders, people who already own stock, CEO and whoever, cannot sell their shares. They have a 180-day lock period. So up until I think October, November or so, or maybe early December actually. Yeah, 180 days, 6 months. Until early December, they could sell their shares. So that's a good sign. You won't be getting dumped on from them. And yeah, actually a lot of good looking signs for them. Let's check out maybe one more of their companies they have. Let's check out their eVTOL company. What was the name of that? Jaunt Air Mobility. Oh, that's right. I did want to check this out because, wait, let's see a little more on their Twitter, what they have. That's it? Oh, wow, 7 posts. Okay. So they just started their Twitter April 10th, right when they thought they would IPO. The IPO was scheduled for what, I think April 17th, and it didn't happen. That's funny. So they basically made a Twitter for nothing. Jaunt Air Mobility. Okay, this is a much nicer website. Wow, eVTOL websites are just better. What is this ridiculous image? This is a toy helicopter with what, like a child gonna play with this? And there's no text, no buttons, CTA. I mean, you can't buy their product, so I guess, can't click anything to buy, but we'll watch that journey video in a second. 80 to 120 miles, nothing special. 175 miles, nothing special. 55 dB in sound and cruise. I'm actually not too sure if that's good or bad. I see they carry up to 4 people, nothing special. Hover is better. And let's see, the actual look of this eVTOL is horrendous, I'll say. Ugliest one I've seen. It looks more like a helicopter, really, than a flying car. Global customers, this is interesting. Okay, I've seen almost all these companies, actually. Blade, I believe, is actually owned by Uber. And, well, what do they do with them? Jaunt is partnered globally with AAM mobility providers, airlines, business aviation operators, and leasing companies. Partners with them? Does that just mean maybe these companies just own a share of Jaunt? I feel like a lot of these companies own a share of each other because they don't know who might succeed, but one thing's for sure, they're not all going to succeed. Let's just check this out real quick. The sizing is so weird. Alright, everything is just fake 3D renders, nobody talking. Their team is actually really cool. They have a really good, experienced team. I would like to see them more content about them. Let me turn off this volume. Alright, they just put their stats here, and this thing literally just went up and down like 10 feet. That's ridiculous. Okay, there we go. Wow, this looks weird. Okay, well, this looks like something that will probably never take off. This looks like a shitty prototype, and I don't think they're ever really going to build this. But I could be wrong. If for some reason this weird rotor they patented is the solution and makes more sense than other eVTOLs, this could be a huge thing. But I think this is more of just a fun, random prototype. Actually, when I said their team is good, what I actually meant was the AIRO Group team, the team behind the consolidation company here, AIRO Group Brands. They're a good team. I don't know anything about the Jaunt team. Maybe let's take a look at them since, actually, what careers? What are they hiring for? Cool. They're not hiring. They're based in Dallas, Texas, Montreal. AIRO is based in Denmark and all sorts of places. Well, all these companies are really worldwide. I don't know what's going on. Any new or $2 million. Nice. No news from the June 9th Trump executive order. That's interesting. What is this? Jaunt, AIRO. Okay, nothing interesting here. But it's nice to see that actually they do update this and have some news, because on AIRO's website, which let's pull up, we went on their Twitter here. On AIRO's website, if we go to their news, which we haven't gone here yet, you can see there's really nothing. There's like barely any news. If you go to the end of the page here, this is from 2023, and all their news is about their IPO, which didn't even launch then. No news since April, and they have 6 companies, 6 different brands they can talk news about, right? Like April, let's see here, April 11th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 pieces of news from this one brand. They could have put all of this in their website, because all this news is also news for AIRO, right? Here, what is this? AIRO Group seeks public cash funding. They put news about AIRO on their website, but AIRO didn't even put this news. So that's quite silly. Here, look, they should have totally put this on their website. This is an awesome article. I don't know what AIRO's doing wrong. They need to get their website up to date. People are definitely looking at their website now that they're about to IPO, and probably after they will IPO, because people are going to be looking into this if this is a worthwhile investment. And honestly, I have very mixed feelings about this, because I hate the website. I like industries. The valuation is, I will say, it's actually, I mean, it's not $1 billion valuation, but if you compare it to something like Hover, where Hover is, let's see, right now it did go up a lot. Hover stock, Hover's is less than what they're going to IPO at. If their value, if you compare them both the same, because they both have eVTOLs and have nothing going for them yet, other than that Trump news, then, you could say this is a stock that's not worth where it's at. But Hover, actually, I'm going to make a separate video on Hover's future. They're expecting about 2026 to get some FAA regulations, it seems like, so we still have some time. Everything right now is just kind of based on, some news and stuff to pop up. But the fact that AIRO Group isn't updating their news is not a good sign. It doesn't seem like any analysts are talking about it. It doesn't seem like anyone, like absolutely anyone, is talking about it. The only news I've seen at all is like on TikTok from literally children, like 18-year-olds trying to just quick play this IPO. So I think this honestly might dump. Could be very wrong, but they at least have revenue. They have companies making money. But yeah, mixed feelings. I'm not too sure what to think about this. Just wanted to kind of review this and just give you all the information I generally got from it right now, as there's not too much time left to make a decision. Robinhood might not even be able to acquire shares. It depends. Every brokerage is kind of gonna try and get some shares of this IPO. So check out if your brokerage lets you have it. And anyways, let me know your thoughts, if you're buying, if you're not, and what you think of, all their 6 companies. And I haven't really gotten to review them all, but the little I've gotten to review, I'm not a big fan of what I see. So all right, I'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching. Peace.